Voice and tone. Ella's narration feels intimate and raw. Her inner dialogue is honest, with just the right balance of vulnerability and control. It reads like someone trying not to fall apart while carefully piecing together the moment they realized they'd been left behind. Pacing. The gradual reveal, from the silence to the restaurant scene, is so effective. It lets the reader feel the dread building up, just like Ella does. Imagery and detail. Little moments like the sound of the fridge, the imagined clink of forks from other apartments, the cold slap of air, they make everything visceral. And that part about her mom asking for the casserole recipe weeks earlier? Devastating. Emotional truth. The story hits hard because it's so relatable. That fear of being quietly pushed out of the people who are supposed to love you most, you, captured it. They didn't forget me. They planned it without me. It wasn't 7/13 when I felt left out. It was long before that. I was excluded. And as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, at 7:20, a push notification lit up my phone. Jenna's Instagram, a photo of the dinner table from the night before. Everyone smiling. Even Mom, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. The caption read, "Grateful for the ones who matter most." I stared at the screen, my hand trembling. Family first. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone, to vanish. But instead, I took a screenshot. It felt like proof. Of what? I wasn't sure, yet. But something in me had shifted. The sadness was still there, but something colder wrapped around it. Resolve. After everything I'd done, years of bending myself to fit into the mold they crafted, I was erased. Just like that. And no one even called. They could play family. For the world, post their curated joy online, pretend they were whole. But I knew the cracks. I knew who paid Mom's electric bill last December when Jennifer lost her wallet. I knew who drove 3 hours at 2 a.m. to pick up Dad after his poker night stranded him in a snowstorm. I knew who held Mom's hand through her hysterectomy while Jenna stayed home because her kids had the sniffles. They'd forgotten. But I hadn't. That night, I pulled a box from under my bed, one I hadn't opened in over a year. Inside, photo albums, birthday cards, and letters from my grandmother, gone 5 years now. She was the only one who ever really saw me. The only one who called just to say she loved me. Who told me never to dim my light for anyone, not even for family. One letter stood out, dated November 2012. Ella, never let people convince you love and loyalty are the same thing. Some will love you only when it's easy. When it's not, they'll pretend you never existed. Pay attention. Walk away when you need to. Love, Grandma. I hadn't understood it then. I did now. The next day, I drove 2 hours to visit her grave. I hadn't been in a long time, something I carried guilt over. But standing there in the snow, I didn't feel judged. I felt safe, like she would have taken me by the shoulders and said, "You are not the problem. They are." I stood in silence, the cold cutting through my coat, and made a decision. If they wanted me silent and invisible, I'd do the opposite. I wouldn't rage. I'd reclaim my voice. Because if they thought Thanksgiving was the end of the story, they had no idea what was coming. 3 days passed. No calls, no texts, no Mom, no Dad, not even Jenna. Like I'd been voted off the island. At first, I considered reaching out, asking why, begging for an explanation. But then I remembered Jenna's voice. "You don't belong in this family." Like it was some truth they'd all known, just waiting to be spoken aloud. I wasn't going to chase people who had already let me go. But I also wasn't going to stay quiet. It started small. I unfollowed them on social media, took down the framed family photo in my hallway from the Thanksgiving I hosted when Mom threw her back out. I decorated, cooked for 12, made personalized place cards Jenna mocked. They smiled for the photos, praised my pie, and forgot to invite me to Dad's birthday dinner weeks later. I told myself it was a mistake. It wasn't. Looking back, there were dozens of small betrayals, inside jokes I didn't get, events I found out about from posts, not invitations. They'd been peeling me out of the family picture for years. I just hadn't wanted to see it. But now I did, and there was no going back. Monday, I returned to work. When coworkers asked how my Thanksgiving was, I gave the same polished smile I'd used all my life. It was quiet, just what I needed. I lied. Inside, I was a storm. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wasn't grieving a holiday. I was grieving a family I thought I had, a version of them I'd created, one where I was loved without condition, one where I belonged. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn their acceptance. For what? So they could discard me the moment I stopped being convenient. That night, I opened my financial records. In the last 6 years, I'd loaned my parents over $18,000. Always temporary, always with promises to repay. Not a single cent had come back. I'd paid for their broken refrigerator, Jenna's car repair when she couldn't get financing, even pitched in for my nephew's school trip when she said money was tight. I wasn't bitter. Not then. I believed family helped each other. But now I saw the truth. Kindness had never been mutual. It had been expected, and I'd been used. I created a spreadsheet, every loan, every gift, every silent act of love. They'd never acknowledged. The total made my stomach churn, not because of the money, but because of what it meant. I wasn't a daughter or sister. I was a convenience, an ATM with feelings. I printed it out, folded it into an envelope. I didn't know what I'd do with it yet, but holding it gave me a sense of control, like I'd finally named the thing that had been gnawing at me for years. Then a text. Hey, hope you're okay. Mom says you've been distant. Want to grab coffee? Jenna. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just another attempt to pretend nothing happened. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a note on my phone and typed something I never thought I would. Boundaries I am setting with my family. 10 rules. Some were practical. No more loans. No more last-minute favors. Some were emotional. If they can't respect me in public, they don't get access to me in private. I wrote at the end, I will no longer shrink to fit into spaces where I was never meant to belong. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. But I knew this wasn't over. They weren't going to let go easily. Not after years of leaning on me, guilt-tripping me, expecting me to hold the family together with duct tape and denial. I wasn't ready to confront them, but I was ready for what came next. But when I did, it wasn't going to be with tears. It was going to be with facts, receipts, and the truth. Because if they thought I'd stay quiet forever, they seriously underestimated me. It was a week after Thanksgiving when my mother finally called. Not texted, called. I stared at the screen as it rang, debating whether to pick up. My heart thudded in my chest, not because I missed her voice, but because I knew exactly how this would go. She'd pretend nothing happened. She'd act confused. She'd say I was being too sensitive. Still, I picked up. Hi, Mom. Oh, sweetheart, she breathed, like she'd been holding it in for days. I've been so worried. Jenna said you've been acting distant. There it was. The opening line of every gaslighting monologue. You're the problem. I stayed silent a beat too long, then said, I saw the pictures. The line went quiet. I saw all of you at the restaurant, I continued, my voice even. You told me Thanksgiving was canceled, but it wasn't. I walked in, you looked me in the eye, and no one said a word. Her voice tightened. That was a misunderstanding. No, I said. It was a decision. She exhaled sharply, the way she used to when she was about to scold Ella. I don't know what's gotten into you. You've been so emotional lately. You always assume the worst. My fingers curled into the couch cushion. The old me would have apologized by now, would have tried to fix it, would have asked what she needed to feel better. But that version of me didn't exist anymore. I'm not being emotional, Mom. I'm being honest. A pause. Then the switch flipped. Tone soft, sweet, rehearsed. We didn't want to hurt you. We just thought maybe you'd feel uncomfortable around everyone after everything this year. The divorce, your job. You've been so sensitive. There it was again. Sensitive. Her favorite word. Her favorite weapon. Designed to make me feel broken. Fixable. At fault. You mean the divorce I went through alone? I asked quietly. The one no one showed up for? The one you dismissed because at least he didn't. Hit you? Silence. You're right, I said. I have been sensitive. Because I've been surviving. Because I've spent so long putting everyone else first, I forgot what it felt like to choose myself. Ella, she whispered, now layering on the guilt. We're family. We make mistakes, but we stick together. Do we? Yes, she insisted. We're all we have. No, I said. You had me, and you made a choice to pretend I didn't exist. I hung up. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty, but I knew that wouldn't be the end of it. The next day, Jenna called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was sharp, clipped, dressed in fake concern. Mom said you're spiraling. Look, I know you're hurt, but honestly, you've always been dramatic. We didn't mean to exclude you, but it's exhausting walking on eggshells around you. You always make everything about you. Maybe this break is good for everyone. I sat on my bed and listened to it twice. Not because I believed a word of it, but because I needed to hear the truth. How they saw me. A burden. An inconvenience. A problem they didn't want to solve. So I solved it for them. I printed out the spreadsheet. Every loan, every payment, every time I bailed them out. I wrote a short, clear note and mailed it to my parents' house. This is what I've contributed to the family over the past 6 years. Going forward, I will no longer provide financial support. I am no longer available for one-sided relationships. If you wish to be in my life, it will be on mutual, respectful terms. This is not an invitation for debate. It is a boundary. No flowers, no emojis, no love you anyway. Just the truth. It felt cold, but necessary. I didn't expect a thank you, and I didn't get one. Instead, 2 days later, I got a group text from my father. This family is falling apart. Hope you're happy, Ella. I didn't respond, because I was happy. Not that the family was falling apart, but that I was finally stepping out from the rubble they'd buried me in for years. And what they didn't know was, I wasn't done. The past still hung over me, and I was finally ready to clean house. It was a gray Friday afternoon when Aunt Marlene called. We hadn't spoken in nearly a year, and even then it was just a birthday card. She was my mom's older sister, blunt, sharp as glass, always a little mysterious. She'd moved 3 states away after a falling out with my parents. No one ever said why. I let it ring twice before answering. Ella, she said, her voice crackling like an old radio. I heard what happened on Thanksgiving. My stomach tensed. Did Mom call you? No, she scoffed. Jenna did. Tried to get me on their side, I suppose. Thought I'd help talk some sense into you. Didn't realize that child had the nerve. I was silent, unsure where this was going. I told her she should be ashamed, Marlene continued. And I told her something else. Something I think you should know. My heart skipped. What? It's about your inheritance. I blinked. Inheritance? What inheritance? There was a pause. Your grandmother left you something in her will, but your parents never told you. I sat up, blood rushing in my ears. She left me something? Why wouldn't they tell me? I asked your mother the same question, she said, her tone hardening. She said you didn't need it, that you had your job, your apartment, that Jenna had kids, and it made more sense for her to get a little more. My breath caught. How much? I asked. $35,000, she replied flatly. A savings account your grandmother opened in your name when you turned 21. Wow. What you shared reads like the climax of a novel. Raw, emotional, and incredibly powerful. There's such clarity and strength in every word. If you're looking to rewrite it, do you want to preserve the style and tone, which is amazing, by the way, or are you looking to rework it structurally or narratively? Here are a few paths we could take. Polish and structure. Keep everything. Just refine the pacing, paragraphing, and flow for clarity and maximum emotional punch. Narrative rewrite. Same story, but rewritten in a more traditional storytelling. Format. Past tense, cleaner timeline, more introspective. Condensed version. Shorten it into a powerful monologue, speech, or essay-style piece. Creative transformation. Turn it into a short story or scene in a novel, maybe even with fictionalized elements.